Well, it was just last Tuesday when Fox 61 learned about COVID cases throughout the New Britain School District, including here at the high school, where today Governor Lamont held an indoor event inside the auditorium to promote more diversity in teacher hiring. And after that event, he stopped to talk to Fox 61 about the state of our schools. 6 weeks into the school year, and 370 students have reportedly been infected with COVID. 150 staff have also tested positive for the virus.
We don't want to overshadow the fact that over the last week, over 370,000 students have entered schoolhouses, been in front of their teachers, learned in person, and they've been able to do that successfully. We have kids engaging in activities in schools, activities that they haven't been able to engage in for 6 months, reconnecting.
Last week, the governor said the White House promised 69,000 Abbott Lab rapid tests would arrive to help Connecticut schools test symptomatic students, but they still haven't gotten here.
Today's Tuesday, let's go. We'll stretch those 69,000 we get as best we can to all the districts, starting with those districts that are most disadvantaged. And the White House has said we're going to get 1 million of these between now and the end of the year.
And testing isn't their only trouble. Districts are dealing with a lack of bodies to supervise classrooms, substitutes in short supply.
And we provided some flexibility so that if you have paraeducators that have so many years of service already, allowing them to serve as long-term subs. And we're going to continue to get creative with our university and our talent office to try to get that number up higher.
Governor Lamont says he remains on track to reopen the state for Phase 3 on Thursday and remains confident that schools are succeeding in their mission.
I think you're going to find that being in the classroom, being at school is a safe place to be. A lot of the infections that Miguel is talking about have taken place in off-campus, remote learning folks, people hanging out with different cohorts, maybe a sports team, things like that.
Now, the administration was quick to point out that there are roughly 530,000 Connecticut public school students, and about 370,000 of those students are back in the classroom, and confirmed cases represent 0.008 of the population. That's less than the test positive rate in the general community. The state also says that they are working with the Department of Public Health to come up with a more sophisticated system to better be able to report and track that data. Reporting in New Britain, Matt Caron, Fox 61 News.